Hi guys, Stanley here. I'm the co-founder of valueinvestasia.com, an investment portal where we give you investment news and also in-depth analysis on listed company every single week. So if you're new to this channel, remember to hit that subscribe button so you'll not miss out on any of our next video. Today, let's talk about advanced micro devices, AMD. AMD was once considered a struggling underdog in this semicon market. But over the past 8 years, AMD has really become a formidable chipmaker again, under the leadership of Dr. Lisa Su, who became the CEO in 2014. AMD stock has rallied a whopping 3,000% since Su's first day on the job. Its market capitalization now is around 150 billion, which is closing in on Intel's market capitalization of $170 billion. Lisa Su really brought AMD back from the brink of bankruptcy by developing more custom chipset for gaming console, rebuilding its CPU business to counteract Intel, and also ensuring that its GPU business continued to challenge Nvidia with more cost-effective chip. But can AMD really maintain that growth momentum going forward? And this is what we want to find out in this video. Firstly, let's look at the business of AMD. AMD has staged an amazing turnaround over the past 6 years, mainly fueled by new products and improving profitability. AMD's main competitor is still Intel. It competes with Intel in making the CPU for personal computer and server market. Currently, it is the second largest producer of CPU after Intel. It also rivals Nvidia in the GPU market for PC, gaming console, and also data center. At the moment, it is the second largest supplier of GPU after Nvidia. CEO Lisa Su took the reign in October 2014, and she is really instrumental in pushing through new products for the company like its Ryzen PC processor and the EPYC server chips. Over the past few years, AMD has jumped ahead of Intel in terms of making CPU at a much smaller node sizes and making its product a real competitor to Intel. One of the key reasons that AMD was able to leapfrog this improvement cycle was from its decision to stop manufacturing its own chip. AMD was once known as an integrated device manufacturer or IDM, just like Intel. And IDMs design and manufacture their own chips in their own foundries. However, maintaining its own foundry is a very capital-intensive process. And without the scale of Intel, AMD was never really able to compete successfully as an IDM. So to eliminate this cost and streamline its operation, AMD spun off its foundry business as Global Foundry back in 2009. It then became a fabless chipmaker that outsourced production to foundries like TSMC, Samsung, and also Global Foundries. Today, AMD rely heavily on TSMC to manufacture its most advanced CPU chips. As the capex to upgrade manufacturing equipment is the responsibility of TSMC, AMD can really focus on just designing the best chip that the current technology can achieve. Meanwhile, throughout the past decade, Intel stick with its IDM model, but making it more and more expensive to keep up with the improvement cycle. Between 2016 and 2021, Intel shares on the x86 architectural CPU market plunged from 82.5% to just 60%. And AMD shares climbed from 17.5% to close to 40%. But of course, that does not mean that Intel is going down without a fight. Over the past few quarters, its new CEO seems to be able to turn Intel around. But instead of following AMD's example and becoming a fabless chipmaker, Intel is doubling down on upgrading its equipment and being a first-party foundry. Intel also released its new chip to counter AMD Ryzen chips and its EPYC chips for server. That tighter discipline has really enabled Intel to regain some lost ground against AMD. From the third quarter of last year to the current quarter, Intel market share rose 6% back to 66%. Over the past decade, AMD has really benefited from Intel's slowdown. But those heyday might be ending soon, and if Intel is successful in turning around its business, that will become a big threat for AMD again. As for its GPU business, Nvidia and AMD both rely on TSMC and Samsung to manufacturing their chips, so there's no real advantage that AMD has over Nvidia. So currently AMD control only 19% of the GPU market in the fourth quarter of 2021, much lower than the 80% that Nvidia held. So AMD is clearly the underdog in the GPU market. But it is still sticking with its strategy of trying to sell cheaper GPU with comparable performance compared to Nvidia. Although AMD's CPU and GPU business are often seen as its core growth engine, we should not ignore its Accelerated Processing Unit or APU business. APU is an integrated chipset that merges the functionality of GPU and CPU together. For example, AMD provide a custom APU for Sony PlayStation 5 and also Microsoft Xbox Series. And AMD is the clear leader in the gaming console space. After all, it is the sole supplier to provide both Microsoft Xbox and Sony PlayStation console, while Nvidia is only supplying to Nintendo Switch console. Its gaming APU counts for a large portion of its business segment under Enterprise, Embedded, and Semi-Custom. And that business segment also counts around 43% of revenue for the entire group. Separately, another interesting growth opportunity for AMD might be coming from its M&A activity. The company just completed its largest acquisition in the semiconductor industry with a $49 billion purchase of Cynix. AMD's success also comes after Nvidia's $40 billion bid for ARM collapses due to regulatory pressure. And this acquisition really improved AMD's position in the high-performing and adaptive computing space. Cynix makes specialty chips known as Field Programmable Gate Arrays or FPGAs. This acquisition will significantly expand the company opportunity in data center, embedded computing, and also telecommunication. It also expands AMD's total addressable market from the 80 billion before to 135 billion. And all this because Cynix has a footprint in other markets that AMD was not dominant in before. Management of AMD say that they expect Cynix acquisition to be accretive to its margin, earnings per share, and also free cash flow in the first year alone. So all in all, it seems like a great deal for AMD. Lastly, let's talk about AMD financials and valuation. AMD has consistently grown its revenue and profit over the past few years. Its revenue has more than doubled from 1.8 billion in the first quarter of 2020 to 4.8 billion in the last quarter of 2021. Meanwhile, its earnings per share has exploded from just 14 cents per share to 80 cents per share in the same period. And it seems growth is not stopping as AMD estimate that the revenue for the full year in 2022 will reach around 21.5 billion. That represents a year-on-year growth of 31%. And these estimates are in line with management target to grow their revenue at a compounded 20% over the long term. This means that AMD will remain as a growth stock for the foreseeable future and could easily double from its current level if its growth path continues. In terms of valuation, AMD shares is currently trading around 33 times its earning and has a forward PE of about 21 times. Although that might seem high, it is still much lower than its 5-year average PE of 105 times. Overall, AMD stock might remain volatile for the foreseeable future, but its future still remains bright, especially if Dr. Lisa Su remains as its CEO. But what is your view on AMD? Do share your thoughts with us below. If you have gotten value from this video, I hope you give us a like and share it with a friend who you might think will benefit from it as well. If you're ready to take the next step into investing, you can always check out our free investing course at valueinvestasia.com/free course. As always, my name is Stanley. Till we meet again, invest safely.